By the way, I'm Valentine. I'm a chartered global management accountant. My qualification is all there. I'm a project management professional. I also hold an MBA in business administration. I'm the CEO of CharterQuest. I'm also a very, very passionate. I started CharterQuest because I want to just teach. I want to teach. If I could teach, we're studying with 10 students in my place in now we've got 4 or 5 campuses, almost 1,000 students. If I could teach all the 1,000, I would, but I just can't. There are so many campuses, but I'm passionate about teaching. And what is CharterQuest all about? Our mission is to get you to become CharterQuest. Is to partner with you on your drive to become chartered finance professional. But by this, what do I mean? There are different strands of chartered finance professionals. There is chartered management accountant, which is with CIMA, which is why we are here. There is chartered financial analyst, which is with the CFA Institute US. There is chartered certified accountant, which is with ACCA. There is chartered accountant South Africa, which is with SAICA. There are these different strands of chartered accounting qualifications, which we are passionate about. My team of lecturers, we've got almost 22 lecturers across the 3 campuses. They're all from these very different professional books. Some are CIMA qualified, some are ACCA qualified, some are MBAs and all the rest. So that's what we do. We literally bring our passion, having gone through the same process ourselves, obtain these qualifications ourselves. We bring our passion and teach to help. I'm looking at your, yes, I can safely say to help younger ones. I was looking at your face to make sure I'm not saying younger ones, and some people are older than me here, and I can safely say you're all younger ones. So yeah, to help the younger ones or the younger generation to also, obtain these qualifications and take that to your different strands in terms of your career. Okay, so that's just a rundown of who we are as CharterQuest. Let's get straight into it in terms of the things that we wanted to deal with. But the first item on the agenda is why employers love CIMA. I mean, for those of you who are online, you've heard about CIMA and you're thinking, maybe I want to do this. I'm not so sure. I'm sure you might be considering, I want to study. Should I study CIMA? Should I do a BCom honors? Should I do an ACCA? Or maybe should I go do an MBA? We want to spend some time to explain why employers love CIMA and how CIMA is different from all these potential options that you might be considering. So if you're new, you're still wondering when you want to, this part of the presentation is for you because it will help you really situate where CIMA sits compared to all the other things you are considering in terms of how you want to move your career forward. However, if you have already been doing CIMA, I mean, you've already decided to do CIMA, you are actively in the pipeline, you will also find this useful, but for a different set of reasons. The CIMA, you find useful in the sense that you want to pass exams. There are 2 types of exams. There is the case study exams, there's the OT exams. The CIMA case study exams and the OT, they are significantly modeled around a particular competency framework. And that same competency framework, I would argue, is why employers love the qualification. So the benefit to you would be, sometimes we just, for instance, let me put it up. Sometimes we just, okay. Now, sometimes we just go straight into CIMA. We say, okay, this is what it is. I want to study this and all the rest. Okay. Some people end up not knowing that it all starts from here. Okay. Why would that be of benefit to you? If you really understand the mindset of, this is the mindset of CIMA. This is just the building blocks. It starts with the mindset, the thinking pattern of CIMA. You really understand the thinking pattern, of which the thinking pattern has led to what we commonly call the CIMA qualification. It will become easy for you to pass the exams in the sense that You can easily get lost in the case study exams on OT, but there's a certain mindset that most people get lost in that they don't really understand the mindset. So uh, they end up struggling to pass exams, look at case study, what do they want me to do here? This OT, how is this OT really different from this OT? But if you get the mindset right, there are a lot of questions you can just look at and you tell, okay, this question is asking me this. I know this is the answer. I know this is where this is heading to. This case study, they've given me this case study to work on. I can clearly see these are the kind of things they're going to ask me on the day of the exam. It is hard to tell, but it starts with the mindset. If you know the mindset of CIMA, the qualification exists because of a certain mindset. So whatever CIMA is doing there, irrespective of the subject, irrespective of the level you are studying, there's a certain mindset they're trying to hold. So this will be of benefit to you if you have already started doing CIMA, because it is a unique opportunity for you to really understand the mindset. Because once you get that mindset, it becomes easy for you to understand F2. All that is an intricate set of ideas that flows from the mindset. So you then would realize that, oh, I now see why I've been struggling to pass CIMA. I now see why CIMA is so difficult to pass. I am not suggesting that if you get that mindset, it will necessarily be world easier. But I would argue that without that mindset, it's almost impossible for you to pass anything. So it's one of those things where you say it is a necessary but insufficient condition for you to succeed. In other words, if you grasp the mindset, you can't succeed without grasping the mindset. But grasping the mindset on its own is not enough to pass. There's still a lot of work. So I want you to use this first part of the presentation to say, okay, I am already studying CIMA. I don't need convincing as to why I want to do CIMA, but I'm going to draw something from the mindset. This is for you. For you who is still considering CIMA, you have to say, okay, I still have to deal with the exams. I don't even know how those work, but I'll use this mindset to help me distinguish how CIMA is different from the rest of the other qualifications. Okay. Having said that context, I'm going to go straight to sort of operationalize that mindset. It all starts with what is commonly called a competency framework. Okay. What makes a professional body is that a professional body defines a competency framework, a standard of excellence as to needs to make sure that it has set a benchmark for what is global excellence in that particular profession. And that benchmark is what CIMA calls the CTA competency framework, which is what you have here. Okay, the Chartered Global Management Accountancy Company. Obviously, CIMA researches every 5 years. They go out, they ask regulators, ask NGOs, ask employers, they ask public sector guys, private sector guys. They ask one simple question: what would you like to see in a finance professional of the future? You hire finance directors, you hire operating directors, you hire. What kind of finance professional do you think you will need for your business in the future? And they collect all this data, which you obviously update every 5 years. And that data is what helps them to put together a competency framework. And that's where the whole mindset starts. Okay. Now, what is this competency framework saying? They reduce all the skills, what every employer and boards of directors are saying around the world, to 4 sets of competencies. You're going to find here technical skills. You're going to find here business skills. You're going to find here people skills. You're going to find here leadership skills. It's almost like a cycle with arrows pointing, clockwise. Okay, the arrows are pointing clockwise, not anti-clockwise. Okay, that should tell you that there is a reason why things are pointed in this direction and not in this direction. Okay. Now, starting from here. Now, CIMA says, okay, here's what we're trying to do. We're going to build one. Let me write it out. It's not so clear. 1, 2, There's a small 5 here. Okay, you could call this outside layer 6. Okay, all CIMA is saying is a chartered global management accountant is an individual with 4 sets of competencies: technical skills, business skills, people skills, and leadership skills. But because in our world of today, technology has taken over, no organization, you can almost not be able to find any organization anymore that does not significantly rely on technology. And by technology, I'm not just talking about computers. Okay, all organizations do use computers. But technology in terms of the interconnection, the internet, different strands of thinking that are affecting technology, big data, machine learning, robotics, and as well. Technology is rapidly transforming business organizations. So we need to place this management accountant at the center of that technology. He should be able to understand how technology impacts business. He should be able to understand technology disruption. And therefore, if we put digital skills at the heart of this person, we will make sure we are building a professional who has the technical skills, has the business skills, has the people skills, has the leadership skills, at the heart of which he can apply digital skills, to move an organization forward, or can understand how digitization impacts the business, and therefore can advise the business how to craft strategies. Ultimately, at the outside layer is what is called ethics, integrity, and professionalism. Okay, this person is going to be, because you're a professional, you belong to a professional body. You can have a PhD in management accounting. You're not a professional. You're an academic. You could have a master's degree, but you're an academic. You're not a professional. No matter what you do, the university will never take back your qualification, your property. When CIMA certifies you as a chartered global management accountant, okay, the qualification is a loan to you. It is not your property. It's a loan to you to say, we can confirm that you have gone through a rigorous process that has an international benchmark to operate excellently as a management accountant. But we're giving you this certification on condition that you will continue to upgrade those skills and that you will remain an honest and display an ethical standing in your society, wherever you are, that will uplift the profession for all of us. The day we find that A, you are no longer upgrading your skills, or B, your ethical standing has been found wanting, we reserve the right to withdraw back the qualification. So it's actually a loan to you. You will keep it for as long as you continue to behave in a manner that brings pride to the profession. And there are just 2 things. A, continue to build those skills. B, continue to act ethically. So if you find yourself working in a company that is paying bribes to receive tenders and all the rest, and you're the finance director of that company, you have to do something about it. It's either you take steps to get your company to stop it, or you recuse yourself, you resign from that company and move to. The day it will be found that that company was doing such a thing and you were part and parcel of it, you don't deserve any more to be withdrawn from it. Whereas if you had a master's degree, it's your property. It doesn't matter whether you kill people, you rape people, all sorts of things, it's your property. So what binds us together as a professional body is this outer layer which is called ethics. At the end of the day, you can be technically strong, business strong, people skills, this, all this. If as an individual, we cannot trust, we cannot accept that you sign the CIMA code of ethics and you are leaving starting your career across with that, then you don't belong to this set of people who share these values. Okay, right. It may sound like it, okay, that is where the whole thing starts. So who is a chartered global management accountant? It's an individual who is technically very, very, let me just clear my screen so you can, I know I get very messy. It's very messy. Okay, so first of all, the mindset says, who are we trying to build? We're trying to build an individual who is technically very astute, he's very business savvy, he's very emotionally intelligent, and he's a strong and decisive leader. That is who we're trying to build. Technically asked you, what does that mean? He needs to be, all accounting starts with accounting and finance. Every profession has its techniques. Law has its techniques, project management has its techniques, and equally accounting and finance has its techniques. So we're talking about technical skills, we're talking about all the tools and techniques, the stock in trade that the profession uses to get the job done. Okay, fine. In the area of accounting and finance, there are different strands. There's financial accounting, there's management accounting, there's auditing, there's taxation. Yeah, within auditing, there's internal audit, there's external audit. Well, we get that. You can add other elements of accounting and finance, financial management, risk management. You can, but if we reduce the bedrock of finance into financial reporting has its techniques, their audit, their financial reporting standards, and different techniques how to impair assets, how to report on the balance sheet, how to compile the financials. There are different tools and techniques that go on there. There are numerous. If you go into auditing, auditing has its own techniques. There are auditing standards, there are internal auditing. Go into management accounting. Management accounting has its own techniques, activity-based costing, process costing, beyond accounting, balance scorecard, these different. So in other words, by technical skills, CIMA is saying, we want to make sure that you are technically so grounded with all the areas of accounting, such that it doesn't matter what is thrown at you, you should be able to draw from those techniques and deal with things that you need to deal with as in chartered management accounting. Okay. But why does this arrow connect with this? Why does this arrow go? It doesn't go this way. It goes this way. Now, CIMA is saying, ultimately, we don't want a guy who can just apply the techniques, add and subtract numbers. Okay? I don't want a guy who can calculate the net present value of a project, or can debit and credit, or come up with a balance sheet and it's 10 billion. What does it mean? It means it's positive. What does positive mean? It means it is not negative. Okay? If it is not negative, what does it mean? It means that I discount it with a low cost of capital. You see, basically, you're not helping me, right? You know that to get to the net present value, you need a cost of capital which is very low. You know that for net present value to be positive, cost of capital has to be very low. But you can't. I need someone who's going to say, Mr. CEO, because this net present value is positive, it means that if we embark on this project, it will create wealth worth this much for our shareholders. And should it create wealth worth this much for our shareholders, will invest more capital in the business. And therefore, that project that we want to open up in the next country, we'll be able to raise capital to achieve that. And the CEO will say, okay, yeah, it does make sense. The point I'm trying to make is, technical skills on its own does not help someone unless you can tie into the business. Are you with me? So I need to get a chartered management who can translate that technical skills. It doesn't just end with the numbers. Can digest that numbers and say, this is what these numbers mean financially, non-financially, strategically, operationally, long-term, short-term, financially. You need to be able to talk to the numbers so that if somebody who is not technically gifted, a CEO who did not study accounting, some of our CEOs are engineers, are lawyers, and all the rest, but they are good CEOs. We want to build a guy who can translate those technical skills and talk to the CEO about the business issues that arise from those numbers. So that accountants should no longer be called bean counters. Those who just add and subtract numbers and add, so what does this number mean? You say, okay, well, that's it. That's how the number looks like. Hence, this thing says you need to be business sound. So therefore, as we prepare you to be a chartered management accountant, to be technically strong, we also need to prepare you to be business savvy so that you know that intersection point between the numbers and business, and you can always sit there at the center. If it is too business focused, then the qualification has become an MBA. If it is too accounting focused, then it has just become an bookkeeping or technical accounting. The goal is to situate this qualification somewhere at the intersection between the technical skills and the business imperatives. So that is the goal, and that is the mindset. And therefore, every time we are going through those modules and the subjects, that is what we are looking for. Can we situate this guy at the center of business? Not technical without business, not business without technical side. That is what we're trying to achieve. And hence, this thing ties to this. Okay. But now, what leads to this tie back to people? CIMA says at the end of the day, you can have the best numbers, you can have the best understanding of the implications of the numbers. It is ultimately people who drive the business. No business will ever succeed without people. In essence, a business is a social arrangement. By that, what do I mean? It's an arrangement with customers and shareholders, employees and government. It's a social arrangement. You bring a number of people together, you tell customers this for you, these are the benefits you provide the product. You tell employees, okay, work for me, I'll pay you a salary. You tell shareholders, okay, give me capital, I'm going to pay you dividends. You tell the bank, okay, give me a loan, I'm going to pay you interest. You tell the government, give me a registration certificate, I'm going to pay my taxes. That's what we do in business. It's a social arrangement. We just go out and find people and make a set of promises. We promise, and bring together all these promises to get the job done. That is what the business is all about. So what this really means is, if you cannot make promises, you can't succeed in business. But if you cannot keep the promises you made, it's even far more problematic. So we need a guy who understands how promises are made, how promises are kept, and what are the challenges and the trade-offs and the difficulties of balancing the promises that you're going to make. There is the first problem. When you tell customers buy the product, it will give you the best possible quality. You can build all the quality into that product, it will become too expensive. Customers will be happy, but you will not make profit so sure. If you just show that I'll give you all the profit you want, you can stream all your costs, they will have profit today from the product quality. That is a problem. Or you might have to cut the salaries of employees now to make more profit. To grow those employees with you. And so the point is, this social arrangement we're trying to put together, for which we have to make promises, and for which we have to keep promises. There are difficulties in making and keeping those promises. There are all these trade-offs. If you're not careful at any given point in time, you will be mistrusted by all these stakeholders because they will tell you, you promised this, you promised this, you promised this. If you didn't promise that, they will not support you, but you promised it, now you're struggling to deliver it. So the essence of the qualification is say, listen, we need to be sure that we reinforce people's skills as a division of CIMA and say, within running a business, shareholders are people, employees are people, customers are people, suppliers are people, government is made of people. There are all these people who we call stakeholders. They bring different hopes and aspirations and aims and complications in what we're trying to do in terms of running. So unless we understand how the technical skills combine with the business, but how we can position that to navigate these difficult waters between these various stakeholders, we will not be competent management accountants. So we need a whole division. Now, some call it HR, but HR is really about employees. This is broader than HR, okay? Because employees is just one element of people's skills. This takes people's skills into a broader terrain of understanding, yeah, you can restructure the business, you can adjust this cost, you can automate the process, it's going to streamline, it's going to bring process efficiencies. Yes, but employees will resist it because of this. Yes, but suppliers are not going to help it because of this. Yes, so you have to ask those difficult questions. You say, yeah, but it makes money, but however, how about suppliers, how about this? So when I take you along to make sure every technical skill or business acumen that you develop, you are able to immediately question all the different dimensions of that issue. So by the time you tell your manager, as a management accountant, this is what I think we must do, this is why I'm saying so, this is how we must do it. If they ask you how about customers, you have an answer. How about employees, you have an answer. How about shareholders, you have an answer. It shows you have thought through the issue from all those. Now, the only way to make sure that the qualification responds to those difficult trade-offs and position you is to make sure there's a fair degree of people skills that is going to be incorporated into the qualification to build those competencies. Now, ultimately, the competency framework says, at the end of the day, the role of a management accountant is to provide information. That's what is called management accounting. Okay? Managers want to run a business. What do managers do? They plan, they organize, they lead, they make decisions. In order to plan, you need information before you plan. In order to organize, you need information before you organize. In order to lead, you need information. In order to make decisions, you need information. So it's called management accounting because we need to account for how managers plan, make decisions. So therefore, the data and information are supposed to compile. It is to help managers. These managers could be line managers. It could be that's something called business partner. It could be the HR director. It could be the finance director himself to whom you report. It could be the marketing director. It could be the operating director. In any well-sounded business, management, we have to prepare management accounts, finance analysis, budgets, send to the various department, HR department, the actual. So we need to understand how HR works to be able to provide accounts that helps an HR director to run the department. We need to understand how IT works to be able to prepare numbers to help the IT manager to run his department. So that's why it's called management accountant. So the point one is trying to make here is ultimately, if our job as build information to help managers to make decisions, managers to plan, the question then becomes, if we are only preparing information for managers to make decisions, when will we also become those managers? If you're preparing for your finance director, if he steps down, who becomes the next finance director? If you are the finance director, you are preparing that information for the board to make a decision, or for the CEO to make. When the CEO steps down, who becomes the next CEO? We cannot build finance professionals who will only provide information just to make decisions. We need to prepare them to also lead. So when they provide information to their bosses look good, they get promoted. They can step into those positions. And the best way to do that is to make sure we also incorporate leadership skills. I mean, some will say leadership skills and people skills is the same thing. CIMA takes a disparity and say, look, we know there's an interface. But when we talk about leadership skills, we know you can't be a good leader unless you got people skills. But we get that. People skills is critical in every business. Dealing with suppliers is people skills. Dealing with employees is people skills. Dealing with customers is people skills. You need to have those skills. But that doesn't make you a leader. When we talk about leader, we're talking about an individual who has all those people skills, yes, but a guy who can anticipate change. He can navigate change. He can innovate. He can change the direction of the company. He can deal with complexities. He can deal with long-term thinking. He can deal with big picture thinking. Yes, we know that when you grasp long-term thinking, big picture thinking, anticipation of change, all the rest, and how to mobilize people to move towards that big picture thinking. That is leadership. Obviously, the mobilization of people will need the people skills. But CIMA takes a clear disparity to say it's about time we build guys who don't only know how to guys and customers, which is people who build guys who can step to the front line and become the next CEO when the CEO leaves. And can move the organization forward. So we don't want every time a CEO leaves, there's a finance director there who is CIMA qualified, and then they have to go and look for a new CEO from outside. A lot of CEOs, they are lawyers and engineers. Very few CEOs are previous finance directors. Why? Is it that we're just good with compiling numbers and giving others to run the business? It prepares you to also lead. Now, if we then build this balanced set of competencies, technical, that feeds into your business acumen, feeds into your people skills, and you refresh that with leadership skills, then we build a rounded professional, assuming that we've incorporated digital skills at the center, he has signed and he's agreed to abide by the code of ethics. Then we have this rounded guy who is like the sought after thing in business. Operate, he can work in HR, he can work in finance, he can work in operation, he can rise to the top, he can work laterally, he can cross-coordinate. That is the kind of person we're trying to do. So that is the mindset of CIMA. Now, this competency framework says, okay, that's our story. This is the guy we want to build. And if we exist as a professional body, it is because of this cycle. So the next question CIMA is then going to say, okay, but how do we build this guy? How do we build this guy? We're going to build this guy brick by brick, like a home, house. The house has a foundation, it's got the first floor, second floor, third floor. Okay, so this is our home we're going to build. So there's a competency framework. We need to framework into a qualification framework. So it's not just about a qualification framework, they're referring to this. When you talk about the competency framework, they're referring to this. Okay. Now, ultimately, CIMA assesses two types of exams. There's an OT exam, there's a case study exam. You're going to see, obviously, you know by now there's a case study here, there's a case study here, there's a case study here. Okay, but we're going to come to that breakdown. No, so CIMA then says, how are we going to build this home? We're going to build this home by deciding how many floors the home will have. It's going to have 4 floors. Floor 1, floor 2, floor 3. Sorry, let me clean my screen. So the home is going to have four floors. You could call it ground floor, whatever, as the case may be. Okay, so we're going to have floor 1, floor 2, floor 3, floor 4. Okay, that's our roof. Your roof here is Chartered Global Management Accounting. Okay. CIMA calls this floor certificate level, operational level, management level, strategic level. Okay, which is what you know here: certificate, operational management, strategic level. But now to build this house, you also need pillars. I mean, a home without pillars would be so we need pillars. We're going to put one pillar here, another pillar here, another pillar here to hold this house. Okay. Why 4 floors? Why 3 pillars? Which is what we have here. This 1, 2, 3, 4 floors. 3 pillars. 1, 2, 3. Let's start by saying, okay, ultimately, in all the social sciences, okay, you can call it economics, accounting, HR. When you run things, the social sciences is split into 4 levels. Some will call it the now, the short term, the medium term, the long term. So in other words, across all the disciplines, economists usually in the short term, in the long term. So psychology will tell you in the short term, in the long term. Accountants will tell you in the short term, in the long term. All disciplines use these words. We just measure, we try to break time into different dimensions to facilitate analysis and things. Okay. So let's say running a business has 4 time frames. There's a now, what you do now, every day, you must do today or else. So that is the today. Call short term, week by week, the next 2 to 3 weeks. What you must do by month end is short term. Okay. What you must do by the end of the quarter, or maybe within the year, is medium term. What you must do, in the next 5 years, or in 3 to 6 years' time, call it the long term. Okay. So all CIMA is trying to do is say, okay, to run a business, you need management accountants who can operate at the now level. You need accountable and project at the short-term level. As you think about the business, so we need to build a guy who can operate at the transactional level. If you go to any business, transaction, data capturing, posting on ledgers, those happen day to day, cash up and all the rest. That's at a very transactional level. That's what is called a now level. Things are done. If you make a mistake in the morning, by evening, we'll pick it up and we'll do our records. That is the now. Okay. We need management accountants who can operate at that level of now. We'll simply call that level of now the certificate level, which is called the transactional level in the business. Okay. But we also need guys who can operate at the short-term level. Where are we going to be by the end of the month? There are people who do day-to-day stuff. There are people who have to put it all together to compile monthly finance. But not only monthly financial. If you go to the operating department, the HR department, there are things that are done every month. It may not be necessarily financial reports. If you go to marketing department, there are things that are done monthly. So we're just going to call that the operational level. Anytime when things are done quarterly or annually, things that are done 3 years in advance, let's call that level. So these levels, they are designed to inculcate a certain. So another time we just get lost and I'm doing P1, I'm doing P2, and you don't realize that there's a meaning. P1 is one module amongst 3 modules at the level of the short term. So therefore, a lot of the questions which are coming, they are not written in the exam, but there is a certain short-term thinking that permeates why that question is being asked. Now, if you understand that thinking, if some of the questions will make a lot of sense, some of them, the answer will come to you very naturally. It's even more clearer when you get to case study. There's a way CIMA can take the same case study on ShopRite. They ask you questions at the operational level. That same case study, they ask you questions at the management level. It's the same question. But when they ask you questions on it at the operational level, there is a kind of thinking that they're looking for, because operational level is linked to short-term thinking. So there's a kind of thing they're looking for in your answer. Even the modules at that level, there's a kind of thing they're looking for even when they craft the question, which is significantly linked to the mindset of CIMA in terms of what they are trying to achieve there. Because ultimately, remember, when you finish here, you are getting a qualification. That qualification says we can confirm that you can operate effectively, subject to seeing your work experience, but we can confirm that you understand at the transactional level of a business how to successfully operate as a management accountant. There's another separate qualification here called diploma. It's saying we can confirm that you understand how to operate at the short-term level, at the operational level. So surely, if that is what that qualification means and what that level means, it has to be true that therefore the modules at that level, the way the outcomes are designed, the way they are delivered, the way they are examined in the exam, the case study itself also at that level, the things that are asked, they all collectively together are designed to bring out that type of mindset. Now, it's very easy to get lost in there and not know that big picture. And therefore, you're writing this thing, going there, and you think, why am I not passing? I'm reading your book, and you think that, but doesn't make sense. We are an operational level guy. There's a certain language I want to get at this level. When we get to management level, there's a certain language. And I'm not seeing that language. I'm not seeing that kind of thinking. It is telling me that I cannot give you the qualification to say you can operate as management accountant at this level in the business. That is what this thing means. Okay, so we have our 4 levels. Okay, we've defined the 4 levels. Okay, this is immediate term thinking, short term thinking, medium term thinking, long term thinking. That's what the level. What are the pillars doing? If we now know what the levels are doing, what are the pillars doing? CIMA starts by saying, okay, let's give meaning to this pillar. We know you call this the enterprise pillar. Okay, why enterprise? We know we call this the performance pillar. Okay, why performance? We know we call this a financial pillar. It's a financial performance. What makes them call enterprise and performance and finance? What is the whole logic? Now, the other part of the mindset you need to grasp so that you can understand how we package the course, how we deliver the course, and why we are so successful at getting students to pass the exam first time. I mean, it stems from our years of understanding what CIMA is trying to do with this. So let's go back. Okay, CIMA starts by saying, okay, let's go to technical skills. At the basic level, what do accountants do? They prepare two types of financial statement: income statement and balance sheet. So it's also a financial statement. But cash flow is a ratio of these two. So there are two at the bedrock. All accounting starts with preparing income statement and balance sheet. That's why we do debit and credit and all the rest. Okay, right. But this is a business. What is the role of business? Is to make profit. What is profit? Profit is equal to revenue minus cost. Now you compile profit in an income statement. Okay, so therefore, if the role of business is to make profit, then income statement is the first financial statement that an accountant must learn to prepare. Because ultimately, if you want to maximize profit, you have to maximize revenue and you control your costs. Okay, no assets is equal to debt plus equity. You cannot, for you to go after assets, for you to invest in assets, you have money or raise equity that we get. So we know this income statement profit is equal to revenue cost, not be made unless you invest in assets. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go and then say, okay, revenue minus cost is equal to profit. Let's go and say asset debt plus equity. Let's put it there. So if we finish building this guy, he doesn't fully understand how to manage an income statement, grow revenue, control costs, then we haven't done our job. If he also doesn't understand how to invest in assets and how to raise capital to execute the income statement or to see the objectives and the mind of the business, then we haven't done our job. So at the bedrock of what we're trying to build is an individual who can do those two things. Okay. One compile the numbers and leave it there. So we will not, it's like you're building a football team. So okay, here's my football team. Okay, here's my 9, here's my midfielder, number 6, here's my 5. Most coaches will tell you that a football team is built from these 3 people. 9 is your striker, this is your holding midfielder, this is your central defender. 3 will sit here, 4 will sit here, 7 will sit here, 11 will sit here. That's how you build your team. So any coach will tell you start by building these 3 guys. Okay, your striker, your midfielder, and your defender. The rest are just that like our spinal cord. The person that is your from your brain back here all the way there. That is it. All these hands and all these things. You can lose your hand, you'll be alive. You can lose it, you'll be alive. If you lose your spinal cord, you're dead. So you cannot mix with a 9, with a 6, and with a 5. That's our central team. Okay, we can put a 7 here, we can put a 11, we can put a 3. That we're gonna build a football team. Okay, so you will see there's a central. Okay, we'll come back to that. Now, if you follow the central function, I've got an equal sign here. If you think about through the balance sheet, it says equal. If you think of it through the income statement, it says cost. Okay, so it is telling us at the heart of running a business is to equalize your assets and your liabilities. That is the backbone. How to manage your assets. Anything that happens on the asset side has to happen on the liability side, and how those two interact will determine your success. So the equal sign is in the middle. At the heart of running a business is what you deal with cost. Your revenue can grow by 80%, but if cost grows by 90%. So we will make the heart of this qualification to this. Then when you build a team, you say, okay, here's my thing. Where is my 7? Who are the people I'm going to attach here? I see guys on these 9 scores are good. Okay, that's the same thing we're doing. We now need to build the hands. Okay, the components that must affect this central nervous system to score the goal. Now, there is one hand here, there's another hand here. They may look like they are parallel. Of course, they are all, but they need to talk. We will make sure they are talking through the case studies. We integrate them at some point through the case study. But we have to build them as individual players first, and then make them work as a team. Okay. So the point I'm trying to make here is, even though we said revenue, okay, even though we said revenue minus cost is equal to profit, this pillar cannot talk about profit and not talk about profit to customers, profit to suppliers. So we're going to use this pillar to report on profit, but we'll define profit broadly to say profit will mean value. Okay? Now, the value that shareholders get, the value that customers get, the value that suppliers get, the value that government gets, all these stakeholders you have made promise, you only keep your promises by showing the value you create for them. So this piece would be about reporting on value. How well this pillar goes is a function of these two pillars. In other words, we just said revenue, if this goes up 30%, this goes up 40%, this damages. So this is just telling us how well this were run. So we will call this financial pillar ultimately reporting on the finances of the business. To explain that speaking, we're going to know a lot about financial reporting, annual statement, how to compile financial results of what is going on in these two other pillars. Okay, so which means if we are learning anything here on this pillar, it has to be about, yeah, but can you report on it? Do you know how we report on this? Do you know how you report to it to shareholders? Do you know how you report on it for customers? Do you know how you report on it for suppliers? Do you really know, Mrs. True, that we understand a plan in place? So when you look at us from outside, when we go back to make more promises, the business is a going concern. We promise shareholders, give us the capital, they look at us from outside, buy our products, they look at us from outside, they can buy our products. Tell suppliers, give me goods on credit, I'll pay you, they can look at it from outside. So this pillar tells what is happening inside people who are outside, so that we can show that we are keeping their promises. Okay, so what have we just said? We've just said, now, short term, medium term, long term. We've just said, plan, generate revenue, control cost, report on what's happening. So in other words, we're simply saying a chartered income is technically business be emotionally good at preserve value, report on value. And does it make some sense? When you plan, you're planning how to make money. When you're planning, you're trying to prevent damage. When you report how well this other two work. So that is how we're tying this. All I'm trying to do is to say, okay, let's plug in the framework for our team. Let's put the players. Who are the players who play this role? Okay? This is a player. So we're asking you, when you're doing this subject, we're asking you to play this role. We're asking you to play this role. These are the players. We're building the team. Okay? It's like the building blocks to build a home. These are the players. Okay. So we need a player who can start preparing how to move forward, but at the same time how to operate at the transactional level of the business. That player is business economics. Why? In economics, you learn demand and supply, interest rate, exchange, unemployment. For you to know whether there's opportunities coming in the market, you need to know how to read the economy. Opportunities arise because of disequilibriums and changes and structural things going on in the economy. If you say interest rate is going up, what happens to inflation? Inflation is going up, what happens to the education sector? Education is behavior, what happens to the property sector? You master that, you begin to understand how to do that if you understand economics. So this player would be a player that's teaching you how to understand what's happening in the economy, without which you cannot generate revenue. But at the same time, start preparing you. All the financial transactions you're going to process, they come about as a result of an economic environment. In that economic environment, okay, business transactions are created. If there is COVID, it affects business transactions, it affects contracts and all those things. So if you understand the economic environment, you can understand the type of business transactions that will come about. Therefore, that needs to be processed today and not tomorrow. Next instance, we need another player that will prepare you on how to manage costs, but at the same time deal with costs at the transactional level. We will call that fundamentals of management accounting. Let's start by saying, what is cost accounting all about? It is to keep accounts of cost. What is a cost? What is it? How do you measure cost? What are the different types of cost? What are the basics? Fixed cost, variable cost, activity-based cost. We will go to the basics of where the whole costing story starts. So that any costing issues at this level you can deal with, but it starts preparing you for more advanced concepts of cost, which ends with risk management. Similarly, what is the player we need here? Who can prepare you to report on profit, but at the same time report what's happening. We need fundamentals. Then about debiting, crediting, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Same thing, similar thing goes, okay. Now you've learned about economics. Look at the business from outside. Let's go to this level. What must you down there? It's called managing finance E1, it's called managing finance Java. If you open that E1 module, what is going on there? There are 2 chapters on human resource management. There are 2 chapters on IT management. There are 2 chapters on technology. There are 2 chapters on HR. There are 2 chapters on operation. All CIMA is trying to do is to say, okay, in this module, because we spend this teaching you how to understand the outside, we spend this teaching you how to understand the business from inside. Because if you know outside, you cannot build an inside, you cannot succeed. If you know inside, you cannot see outside, you will not succeed. So here we'll teach you how to build an organization internally and how the structures of a business internally work. So you can combine with these two. So we move here. Okay, we build this. Principles at the operational level. Companies translate principles into cost-based systems. Everything is system runs a cost accounting without a cost accounting system. We now develop that into management accounting one, which is costing systems. How systems are built and designed, with budgeting systems. All those systems which are built and designed to manage and plan and control costs. We deal system. We shift here, we say, okay, we've learned debiting and crediting. Let's now develop that to preparing basic financial statements. It's the same thing here, we've just elevated. Same thing we just, and now we're operating at okay, what is managing performance? You learn business from outside, you learn from inside. Here we teach you how to bring the two together. That's what you learn about relationship management, project management, all those things. How to bring the outside and the inside and move forward. So here is outside, here is inside, here you move here, smart says, okay, you've learned how to measure cost, how to build cost in costing systems. Now let's control the cost, but CIMA tells you that only controlling cost is not enough. When people have injuries and duty, it's not cost, but when they sue you, you become cost. When customers are not happy, it is not cost. When they withdraw from your product, it becomes cost. So CIMA then says, when you get here, let's start talking about if a cost accounting ends here, as you're moving here, it is now becoming management. Here it is cost accounting. Here it is cost accounting. When you move here, productivity, they manage safety, they manage injuries, they manage employee welfare, they manage a lot of things beyond cost. So we're not just going to learn, because this thing is about controlling cost. As you control cost here, when you move here, you start realizing
We're back on the fizzle. Sorry about that.
all right. Okay. Once we finish here, we now enter this level. At this level, if you look at what is happening here is when you are at this level, these first two levels, a lot is going on. As you're entering this level, a lot is moving between here and here. As you are now entering this final level, everything is shifting now. So CIMA prepares a gradebook to introduce these skills. Obviously, all the levels have all the skills, but the concentration, for instance, when you are here, you find that 99% technical skills is mainly this. As you move here, technical skills drop is around 70%. Its technical part moves to business skills and these skills. As you move up here, technical skills drop to around 50. The other part, 50%, moves to this and this. As you move up there, it is 25%, 25%, 25. By the time you get to the top, to the final level, it's an equal balance. Leadership skill starts with 0.001%. It is growing when you get to strategic level. Now, everything that is going on, okay, fine, this is 25%. It doesn't overtake, but it now has an even balance because at that level, your job is to direct others. It's not to do the accountants are doing the work for you. Other people are doing the work. Your job is to lead others, to make decisions, to lead. When they bring you the numbers, you should have the technical skills to understand the numbers. When they explain the business implications, even if they don't explain it, you should have the business acumen to understand it. And then you can now put that together. Now, you might also, if you're wondering, what is this CIMA qualification? Okay, that is the story. Now, what I've tried to explain here is a certain mindset. If you don't know this qualification with this type of background, you can easily get lost trying to pass CIMA exam. You'll be wondering, why am I? Ultimately, CIMA then says, okay, we're going to assess this qualification through two different exams. We're going to assess OT, we're going to assess case study. Okay? We teach you this, you go write an OT exam. We teach you this, you go write an OT. Same thing here, OT. OT is usually true or false, multiple choice. You answer, you got 90 minutes to answer 60 questions, 1.8 minutes per question. You sit there, you finish teaching, you sit there, you answer the question, you need like 70% for the two of them to pass. Now, that is just testing your knowledge. OT just tests whether you have the knowledge. You have the knowledge to play in this role as this player. You have the knowledge to play this role. You have the knowledge to play. That's what is going on. But CIMA knows that when a problem comes at work, it doesn't come as, it's a team. It doesn't come as E1 and P1. The manager will say, look, I'm trying to launch a new product. And can you give me a report how we can go about it? You walk into the office in the morning. I want to launch a new product. How do we do it? Okay? Can't tell where is the E1 in this thing. Where is the P1? Where is the F1? But it's a task that has been given. That is what happens in case studies. So, okay, you want to launch a new product? You need to have a product vision. You need to identify the market segment for that product. You must have known which segment you want to target. Okay. So, for me to advise on how to launch a new product, I probably need a lot of things from marketing management, which is sitting in E1. So I learned about market segmentation, market targeting, customer value equations, all those things are used to decipher how to position a product in the market. I need to bring that. But you also need to learn, okay, but we need to build the organization capable to launch and roll out that product. So I learned about IT, HR, how to hire staff and get the suppliers and the resources to actually build the product. Most of those things you should have learned from here. I didn't tell you it's an E1 issue. It's for you to recall that, no, this period, I learned E1 is about how to grow revenue. And if you launch a product because you want to grow revenue, what are the things I learned in E1 that I put together to launch a product? You have to go and draw them from here. But you also need to realize that this product, there are costs associated with building the product and launching the product, making it run. If those costs are not controlled, then it's not going to work. So you learn about the type of costing system that can be put in place to manage an organization. You just have to apply that now in the context of launching a product. You also need to understand that to launch a product, depending on the size and scale of the product, if you want to, some products you have to raise capital to launch, to build. A product is an investment. Imagine that BMW wanted to launch Mercedes 500. It's a particular type of car. That's a new product. It needs to build a particular factory, a particular plant economics and everything to actually build. If it's a unique type of product, you need to build the infrastructure, new factory, layout, new all those. That requires capital. You need to invest money. You need to either go and raise. Companies don't sit with that type of company in the bank. You have to go raise that money from the bank or from shareholders and all the rest. So to launch that product, BMW, Mercedes 500. You're not going to go and raise capital without coming with financial statement, projections, how you see the projected balance sheet, projected income statement, all those. You have to realize that there's an F1 component on this thing. So the reality is that you walk in the office in the morning, your boss says, I want to launch a new. That's what that happens in case study. Okay, thank you very much. Can we tell me how to launch a product? We take you and teach you how to integrate this is to launch a product. So, while you write these exams anytime, you write these exams 4 times a year. So, 6 weeks before the exam, we get a case study. Case studies on Shopra. We sit down with you after teaching you how to pass this subject, pass this subject, pass this subject. We then teach you how to translate your knowledge to skills. Knowledge asks, do you know? Skills test, can you do it? So we teach you how to take everything you learned here, and how to bring that together to carry out activities that the company carries out to succeed. Yes, I see you up. Come on. Remember I said I'm going to give you a chance at the end?
Oh, okay.
Okay, you look at your, okay, it's fine. I've been talking for too long. I don't mind taking your question. Go ahead.
This is one. I wanted to know.
Is there a case study per module or is a case study per level? Okay, it's a case study per level. There are 3 case studies. The certificate level doesn't have a case study. As you can see, there's no case study here. There's no brown. This gray here. These grays represent case study. This one doesn't have any case study. So there are 3 per level. So you pass this, then you write 1 case study. It's called operational case study. It shows whether you can combine the 3 to resolve issues at that level in the business. Similarly here, you pass this, 1 case study. So ultimately you have to do 3 case studies to complete the module. And then you finish to submit your work experience. No. So if you're sitting there wondering whether CIMA is for you, you do have adequate information now to tell whether you want to do CIMA or not. Okay? You can, there's no qualification that treats finance and business the way it does. You can clearly see, if you want to have a bit of an MBA, this almost like an MBA. Okay? This almost costing. This almost financial reform. So it's like the best of everything there. Now employers love this because employers look for guys who can operate in multiple fronts. A coach will always like a player who can play attack, can score goals, can come back and defend, can play the win. So that if somebody has a future, we can always change around. We don't want players who can only score goals. They can't do anything else. Okay? It's the same type of thing. A smart guy is prepared to score goals, to defend, to play in all the wins and all that. That's really what makes this qualification and stand. And that's when employers look for people, that's why they are looking. If they're looking for a CIMA guy, that is why CIMA has been growing the last 10 years in the country. Okay, it's like I'm getting a lot of people in one person. We see a lot of we meet with CIMA guys in audit committee meetings, in strategy meetings, in board meetings. You can almost tell a guy who is from CIMA, a guy who is from CAC, but you can tell from the way you think and when issues come up. You have some qualifications where if you're sitting in audit committee, they're doing very well. Once you come out of audit committee, in strategy committee, they can't talk anything. Because in audit committee, you talk about financial reporting, internal controls, so they talk. Once you come there, you move to strategy committee. Where strategy, you're discussing something else. There are some qualifications that don't equip you to do that. But CIMA almost prepares you for all this operational level, management level, strategic level, different. So you really become that business savvy. Okay, so that's the story. You need that to decide whether you want to do CIMA. You need that to really understand the mindset and why CIMA is the way it is.